mean, this is one of my longest friends in the world. I think we've been friends for like damn near 20 years now.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Damn.
We met when we were both around 16, 17. We were the same age. This man, when it came to the hardcore scene in Texas, this man was like one of the main people to like bring me in and like, you know, make me feel included and welcome, along with like Riley and Marcus and a bunch of other people from Texas. One of my best friends in the world, one of the smartest people I know, one of the most knowledgeable people I know when it comes to this subculture shit. It's one of my favorite people in the world, James Kubiar, a.k.a. Justified Arrogance. What's up, baby?
We love to see that shit, man.
I love you.
20 years of friendship.
You have no idea how happy I am when I see him. He's like, it's the best soul. Like, I love this man.
Yeah, man. This feeling is mutual, for real.
Hell yeah, when we first were putting this together, we said we were going to New York. Nate was like, I'm hitting him up, yo. I got a guy. I got a perfect guy for the podcast.
Because I flaked in Chicago is what it is.
You didn't flake. We were at a wedding, and I was trying to be on some like, all right, after the wedding, let's link up with them and try to get a pot off real quick. It went nowhere. Yeah.
No way.
It would have been uncomfortable, and you wouldn't be able to get your shit off. So now we're in your neck of the woods, B.
in Cypress Hills.
How you feeling, son?
Oh, my God. I think the only one of those that I've picked up, I've lived here 7 years. I think the only one of those that I say is like my guy. I can't do that.
I picked up mad Chicago slang.
And then like when I know people who aren't from here who do it, like I will like be like, stop it.
Yeah.
They'll be like dead ass. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
I might be that person. I was just about to say, I say dead ass all the fucking time. I'm like, dead ass.
The internet
dead ass. Dead ass.
Yeah, I said I'm gonna go back to Chicago, like say less.
Yeah, say less. Oh my gosh.
Oh shit. Well, yeah, we're happy to have you here, man. Nate be like tying us into all like the Texas people or whatever. Like I'm so surprised at how many Texas people be in Chicago, let alone that are all over the United States.
Yeah,
you know
man.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like that's the beautiful thing about like I knew like I was like when I left Dallas, I knew I would not see a lot of friends. You know what I mean? Moving to Chicago, and I was very wrong. You know what I mean?
So how long you been out here in New York?
I've been here 7 years. I was in Connecticut for a year and a half before that. So I left December 2014. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you good.
It's his first microphone. I left first week of January in 2015, and then I moved here April 2016.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of Texas homies here too. Like the best ones basically didn't stay in Dallas. Like a lot of them, everyone basically bailed.
Yeah, everyone that I fuck with does not still live there.
I mean,
no
like,
disrespect. I mean, of course, there's plenty of friends that I have.
Actually,
out there.
there's like two, like David.
No, there's more than that. We're not doing this though.
I just know that I would hear it from him, so I had to say his name. I talk to him every day. So,
what prompted your move?
The long story or the short story?
Let's do the long story.
All right. So I was living on our friend Jay's couch in the fall of 2014. I was writing for this alt weekly called the Dallas Observer, and was like doing like odd whatever articles for like $40-50 a pop and not making enough to get by. And there was an opening there for like a web editor job. So I was like trying my hardest, and I had no idea how to get a job at this point. I like had no career skills, and I was like asked like for recommendations and blah blah blah, and you know I'm like I'm gonna get this job. And then on Christmas Eve, the web editor or the editor in chief of the Dallas Observer sends me an email, this long email about why they didn't go with me on Christmas Eve, and I was like okay, and I just calmly sent an email back that just said, I will never write for you again. and
that's pretty calm for you, honestly.
It was, especially back then, dude. That was really even. And I took like 2 Xanax. It was Christmas Eve in a room with my family, and I was like, I can't wild out in front of them.
Yeah.
I can't break shit. Like I'm at my uncle's house. I'm in California. I take 2 Xanax. Apparently, I blacked out, which as one does on Xanax. Yeah. And I hit up my homegirl in Connecticut, who I met while I was helping Power Trip with merch in Connecticut on their tour like 5 months earlier. And I hit her up and I was like, yo, and I know that her boyfriend worked at a print shop out there. And I was like, yo, I will work at this print shop. I don't give a fuck.
What was the print shop again?
Shop Shogun.
That's right. Okay, I had it wrong. I thought it was another one. It's Shop Shogun. That's right.
And I was like, yo, I will like sweep the floors. I will do literally anything. I don't give a fuck. I want to work. So she was like, cool. So on Christmas Day, she messages me and just goes, hey, this is the next day. She goes, hey, I talked to my boyfriend. You have an interview with him tomorrow. And I'm like, for what? She's like, what the fuck, man? And I had blacked out and I scrolled up and I'm like, oh. And I end up having a call with the dude the next day. He's like this old like New York dude, and we're talking and we like hit it off about ideas and just music and stuff. And he's like, yeah, he's like, come up. And my parents lived on the East Coast, so I hitched a ride with them and went back. And then it was like, this is like the year of the polar vortex, like 2015.
Yeah,
so
God damn.
And and it was like a shitty warehouse in Waterbury that like had no ventilation and nothing. It was the coldest and hottest place I've ever worked in.
Yeah.
And like got the job and worked there for a year and a half and learned a lot about production for printing shirts. I made no money doing it. I lived in my aunt's house because I made no money. And that's how I made it there.
I was gonna say, is that how you got it? That's how you started the Justified Arrogance?
Yeah, the first bootlegs I did under the Justified Arrogance name were there.
Cool.
And like within like a month, I got like, I didn't even get cease and desist. I got death threats.
We'll get there. I want you to first speak on the very beginnings of Justified Arrogance, like the blog, because the blog was awesome.
Yeah. So that also was summer 2014. A lot of shit happened in summer 2014. So I'll give you the abridged version. So I went to Los Angeles because I wanted to make this TV show and completely failed out. I got really hooked on like Xanax and just crashed out, went to my parents' house to detox, and I had a relationship completely fall apart while I was there. And like I had nothing but time on my hands. And there was like this Facebook group, because there were no more message boards at this point. And there was a Facebook group of these young like 18, 19-year-old kids who were like, hey, I'm looking for this band. And you know, like this is before like Spotify, or you get like hardcore, like really on streaming.
Yeah.
And so I hoard music. I still hoard it like crazy. So I have tons of shit at home, and I was like, yo, I have this. And so I just like was like getting really into it, and I would like start uploading stuff that people weren't asking for. And I was like, well, this is cool, and this is why. And eventually the thread was just me. And I was like, okay. And so I just took it. I had an old blog. The name Justified Arrogance was like this stupid gimmick this is from like 2011. I'd had that blog spot since 2011. I just never used it. And I started just uploading it there. And the first two essays that really were like Justified Arrogance, like essays where it was like me talking about how I felt about stuff, or were about Power Trip and Iron Age. And those were like the first, because those bands are like most important to me. And doing that, and then going into like other bands and talking about why they were important, and, you know, just putting it out there in the world, writing like nobody was reading. You know, I think that was like really important. And it was really important for me just like getting my mind right. Because like you can actually tell like my mind like cleansing the benzos out of my system as I write. Because like I can barely write when I start. And then it gets more cohesive and longer and more structured and stuff as it goes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up, yo. Like I miss the old blogs and shit for real. Like I had so many different blog spots that I would just go in and download the whole album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I was getting up on music, like you said, way before the streaming era and shit.
And the early years of Justified Arrogance, James, like they were, like you were saying, were super informative. Like I mean, like you put me on the shit just off the strength of that. And really, you're like your best of lists at the end of the year were always fucking beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
You still do that too.
That's like the closest thing we have to a tradition on Justified Arrogance.
Elaborate on that.
So, end of the year, I do like multiple lists. The categories are like best hardcore punk LPs, and it's like 20 plus honorable mentions. Best hardcore punk EPs, best hardcore punk demos, best shows, best rap releases, rap, hip hop, R&B releases, best releases in open competition, which is like pop or indie or whatever, and then best releases and best metal releases, and then I sometimes invite other people to come on, but my list is the one that I always do every year.
Cool.
And it's now 9 years running.
Wow. Okay.
So which is cool. Yeah.
Awesome consistency, man.
Yeah. So like going back a little bit, how did you find yourself into hardcore and punk? Like, what is your like, even if it's like new metal or whatever it is, like, what are your like alt music? What's your alt music origin story?
How did you get there?
Yeah. How did you get there? What put you? Who got you here? from there to here.
I worked my way, so it's weird because I know a lot of kids will start with like mall punk and work their way to hardcore and then work their way out to metal.
Yeah.
I worked my way. I did the reverse. I got into metal and then worked my way in, and that's like usually most people work their way out. So. I got into new metal. I think that's like kind of a lot of people, especially at my age. I grew up in like a really like conservative household. My dad really didn't let us do a lot in terms of like exploration of culture and stuff. It was either, so it's funny. Like I grew up on like a lot of Persian and Turkish music, and now people are like super into that. But grew up on that, and then I had a cousin who was really into like good metal. And he put me onto like Obituary and Cannibal Corpse and Sepultura and Slayer and stuff like that. So I worked my way from new metal to like good metal. And then I discovered Hatebreed on Winamx, which was like an offshoot of Napster, for the dumbest reason. I had a 56K like dial up.
Yeah, for sure.
And hardcore songs are just shorter than metal songs.
Yeah, I was gonna say it take 30 minutes.
Yeah. You can put that up for download and dip and come back and you got it.
I downloaded like All the Satisfaction of Death and Desire in
Perfect.
like a half hour versus like 2 Metallica songs. So I was like, this is perfect. And I thought it was metal. I didn't know and then I like checked out like Blood for Blood. And I thought that was metal. And
it took me a long time to be able to like know the differences and like be able to tell you like.
I still struggle with genres to this day, dude.
Cause like
I'd be scared when people ask.
I got into metalcore first, and I couldn't tell the difference for real.
I don't know what metalcore is. Huh? I don't even know what metalcore is.
Knocked Loose.
Yeah, metalcore.
I thought that was
all shall perish.
I thought that was straight edge, straight core.
No,
I was just making this shit up. Shout out Knock Loose.
No, metalcore is like you know this, like Cave In and Botch and Converge.
Okay. Converge, yep.
Nate put me onto Botch.
It's like stuff that guys in like New England beat people up to, and then everyone else in the country like started wearing white belts too. Because they just thought it was like artistic and musically or worldly or I don't know what.
100%.
Like lots of musicianship, and I'm just like hearing stories from like guys who were there, and they're just like, yeah, the shows were like bloodbaths, and I'm like, that's cool, like. No one else got this. Like that was not the takeaway.
Was moshing in Texas violent like that? Because I know in Chicago, motherfuckers used to be beating motherfuckers up straight up, like especially by like the Indiana border and shit. Like them Indiana niggas don't give a fuck for real. And like I remember we would go to shows in like Michigan and shit, or we would go to like Wisconsin and shit, and like we were like these people, they not doing none of this shit.
In Texas, yes, I believe so. I mean. What do you think?
It's dependent on the city. Like Houston was rough because Houston was like land of the giants. Like every dude there was like 250.
Yeah, that was like Indiana was for us.
The poppin' crew. Can I mention this?
Yeah.
The poppin' crew in Houston was GAMC. Grown ass man crew, and
ain't no way, boy.
And bruh, I know it sounds funny, but they were no joke, and like the bands that came from that were really, really good, and like
Pride Kills,
they weren't just big guys.
Yeah, Will to Live, Die Young, like
Your Mistake.
Yeah, like
dude,
these were like major players in the Texas hardcore game.
My first show in Houston was Terror, Will to Live, Madball, Your Mistake. And I got a concussion during the first song of the first band. It took me like 2 hours to know what day it was. It was like my first concussion.
Was that your welcome to the pit moment?
It was that was a fun show. There was a trampoline during it.
Of course, yeah. They love the mini trampoline on stage for the stage live.
Dallas was like not. I mean, we were little. Like it was just a little. Like we were all smaller kids. Like we were all either like we were like little. Like I can't even. So we had like. I don't know how to put it. We were all like weird. I tell people we were gummo tough. Like we weren't big.
Oh, I love that.
Like we weren't big and like we weren't like trained fighters, but like 10 of us would get around you real quick and like grab something that wasn't bolted down and leave you where we felt like.
Yeah. Everything was like a very unfair jumping. Like
it wasn't like, always what it was. Unfair jumping.
Like it wasn't tough, but it wasn't. But it was also scary at the same time. I don't know.
120 pound dudes knocking you the fuck out for why?
I remember there was this one show. It was actually the Warriors played it. It was with Terror and Remembering Never and the Acacia Strain.
I was there.
Yeah. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
So it was the week after the Ridgely Metal Fest, and our friend Riley Gale, he like the week earlier had broken his hand over some guy's head during It Dies Today.
That's right.
And he was like moshing for the Warriors, and some kid, remember it was one of them, and some kid kicked his legs out for some Emery was there, and so it was like a Christian metalcore kid.
Yeah, they were like weirdly on like hardcore.
There was like a big Christian whatever scene in Dallas.
Same here, same in Chicago for real.
But like this kid like kicks Riley's legs out, and I just remembered like someone going, "Yo, someone just attacked Riley," and they're like, "Who the fuck did it?" And they're like, "We don't know." So everyone who was friends with him beat up everyone on the side of the room that they didn't know. So literally just like, it wasn't like, I guess it was crowd killing, you could call it that, but it was just beating up the guys you weren't friends with.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
oh God, for real.
And then the cops ended up getting called, and they were like, "We're gonna cancel the show." And they were like, "Please don't." And Riley had to go talk to the cops. He was like, "No, like I got attacked, and my friends were looking out for me," and he was like super embarrassed about the whole thing.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because like right before we started recording, we were talking. You said something about someone jumping off the soundboard, right?
Yeah.
I'll never forget, me and my boy Julian, that's one of my good boys or whatever. Yeah. But like back then, like he knew all the kids from one side of town when I knew all the kids from the other side of town. We had seen Life Ruiner, bro. And somebody jumped off the soundboard and landed on one of our people. All I know, everybody started fighting. It was some shit like you were saying, like, I don't know this kid, I'm fighting for real.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be like that. I don't know if it is like that at this point, but I mean, I'm old, so who knows?
Yeah.
So like, James, like early on, you started booking shows and just doing a lot for, Dallas and Fort Worth hardcore and punk and metal and everything. How do you feel as, like, to me, you're like a major player and like serving the scene. Like, how do you feel, do you want credit for that? Or how do you feel about that?
I mean, it's like, as much as I hate saying it, like subculture is like very much like a "what have you been doing for me lately" type thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like it is, like I live in New York, and I see a lot of, listen, this is the second largest city in the Western Hemisphere, and like the hardcore scene here is not what it should be. And I think part of that is because a lot of it is this legacy, and that's not just New York, it's like a lot of scenes, but I don't think it's about what you've done. I think it's what you're continuing to do.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
And and if you want to, and you have to keep growing with it, because it's not, listen, hardcore is not the same as it was in the 80s or in the 90s or the 2000s or the 2010s even. Jesus, that's a dark.
But
like,
for all that shit.
Yeah, but like, yeah, like, I mean, listen.
Us too.
Of course.
I got to do a lot of cool shit in Dallas at the time that I got to do it.
Yeah.
But like, listen, if I walked into like Double Wide and I was like, "Oh, I booked Blacklisted and Have Heart at Red Blood Club in 2008, buy me a beer," like, you would think I was a fucking asshole. And you should.
Because like, who are those bands?
Yeah, just like it shouldn't matter. Like, it's very much like what you're continuing to do, and you get what you put into it.
Yeah.
You know?
So like, what are you doing it for? That's why I always ask our guests, like, what are you doing it for?
Me?
Yeah.
My mantra is justified arrogance with anything I talk about, whether it's, music or movies or anything. Like, my goal is like, I hope that like one person discover something new today. And if I do that, that's all I need to do. Because like, listen, subculture survives on transmission. It needs it. There isn't anyone else to carry it. Like, it's almost like an oral tradition. And so like, if no one's talking about it, then it dies.
Yeah, dude, you just nailed that shit.
Yeah.
Me and Nate were having a conversation about that the other day. I was like, because Nate was talking about doing some shit, but he was like, I wonder how it's going to come off. And I'm like, fuck all that shit. It's going to come off with what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, what's the purpose? Why are you doing it for real? That's what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's all you should want to do. You should want to, and then this isn't just like with subculture. This is just in life with, your jobs, your relationships, whatever. You should just want to leave the place better than how you got there.
Exactly.
Absolutely, because what are we talking about?
Yeah.
What are we doing it for? Yeah.
And if you left it worse than when you got there, then you have to ask yourself how much of that was because of you.
Period.
And so, and I think like for me, I think it's cool to see things grow. And I think like that's all the thing, like, I was at this show like a week and a half ago, and this kid walked up to me and he was just like, "Yo, your blog changed my life." He's like, "I discovered some of my favorite bands on there." And you have no idea how much that meant to me.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And it's like, he was like telling me how he like discovered like Dynamo off of it. And I'm like, That's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because like no one talks about Dynamo.
Yeah, because it won't ever feel like that to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you posting shit, like a lot of times, like with me when I'm doing it, I'll be like, damn, ain't nobody gonna see this shit. But just that, like you said, someone come up to you and tell you that like you did something that like really impacted their life, that make it worth it for real.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, you've gone hard at it, and like your reach is so far, and like, dude, like even like some of the people I see even interacting with your shit, I'm like, you like hardcore?
It's weird.
Like,
right?
it's nuts.
Who's the most surprising person that hit you up that like hardcore you ain't know?
Man, I don't know. You know what? He unfollowed me, so I can actually bring this one up. I was really bummed about this one. Joe Manganiello, the dude, like he was like in True Blood. He was like the werewolf guy.
Oh yeah.
So it's actually funny. So
He's a corpsman.
The buff dude.
He's not a corpsman. He's a metal guy.
Oh, okay.
So, but it was funny. So I hit him up. I don't do this anymore. This is early on, and I just didn't know how to act. But also, hear me out. So I was at a wrestling show in Los Angeles this is in 2018 when he follows me. And I'll remember it. I was at work and I was like, oh, this is crazy. And I messaged him, I was like, hey, you probably don't remember this, but you and I were like in the same room at this, like, it was at a PWG show. It's like 300 people. So it's a small show. I was like, we're at the same show like 4 years ago. I was like, it's really cool that like, it's coming full circle. We're like, whatever. He's like, hell yeah, brother. I love metal. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love wrestling. And he's like telling me how he got like the big show back into Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, whoa. and I left him on red. And like, I told my friend about it later and he was like, you left him on red? And I was like, I really didn't know how to respond.
Treating a celebrity like a Punisher is hilarious.
And I was like, whoa.
Gee, that's happened to me before, yo. I was outside Spoken to Square. This is back probably around there 2013, 2014. And this dude, I forgot what shirt he had on. I want to say it was like a Windsor Plague shirt or some shit. He was outside. Dude, when we were like downtown at like some club, right? And I'm like, oh, let me start to this dude Smoking the Squad. We start talking about basketball and shit. Then we start talking about music and shit. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker cool to say. I'm like, so what you do? He's like, I'm in town. I play drums in a band called Crystal Castles. And I was like, damn.
That's sick.
That's bad.
Like, damn, I didn't know you fuck with metal like that. Yeah, that's how I got in this shit for real. Like, I feel you, me too, for real.
No, that's cool. I love Crystal Castles.
Yeah,
I don't care what anybody says.
They still hold up, dog.
I agree. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any other good ones. Yeah, I don't know. The account, it's weird, honestly. Like, the account's just weird. I don't know. I treated it like, it's funny because like the way people will talk to me about it and they're like, oh, I bet you think you're so cool and this and that. And I'm like, dude, like, no, like it's literally like a glorified Tumblr. That's like my ADHD brain. Like, I'm like, today I was like posting about Steven Seagal movies. Like, trust me. I think that what I'm doing is anything but cool. I promise.
I think to them, like, I guess like I like know you and like us like are close, like, you know what I mean? Are closer. Yeah. So I know that you don't think you're cool, but the name Justified Arrogance is crazy. And
dude,
that's gonna make. But
that's kind of why it's funny though.
It is
like,
hilarious.
But you know why? Like one thing I learned about that name, and actually like I used to put that shit on my resume like because it was like that's how I got my real like day job. Was it was the blog.
Yeah.
So I like literally like I didn't know what I was doing, but like my blog would get like 20,000 sessions a month on like Google.
Yeah.
So my resume was like, my blog gets lots of traffic on Google. Ask me how. And I got hired by an agency that definitely shouldn't have hired me. Like I remember leaving the interview and my mom was like, how'd it go? And I was like, it would be irresponsible if they hired me. And then they hired me. Crazy. No, I learned something though. I was like, people are willing to manage arrogance. They will never carry insecurity. Because if they think you're arrogant, they might think you're a shithead, but at least you're like self-assured. So they know that you trust yourself. Yeah. If you're insecure, you're basically saying you don't even trust yourself.
Right.
Yeah. So like it's like, oh my God. And like at work, like how are they like, yeah. So I remember one interview I had, and this is actually the job that kind of changed my life. Like this is how I cut my teeth in my career. But I remembered the CEO was like, are you Justified Arrogance? And I was like, oh man. I was like, I don't want to tell you that I'm actually like this like really like callow and insecure dude, but like I also don't want to be like, yeah.
Yeah, you know who it is, baby.
Yeah. So he was like, yeah, you seem like he was like this like raspy dude. He's like, you seem like kind of a lone wolf. And I was like, no, like, it's a gimmick. And I'm just like, it's a silly one, and I'm sorry. And I ended up getting the job, so it worked out. But yeah, I know the names, like the King of Subculture is stupid. It's all stupid. I mean, to be fair, you want to know a funny story? A friend of ours.
You're not wrong though.
What?
I mean,
about what? Just the
whole thing.
Yeah.
King of Subculture. I mean.
Well, no, don't do that. No, but you know something
You're
funny?
my king.
I love you. Do you know something funny is, you know Zach?
Yeah.
Yeah, so our friend Zach from Texas, the first year the blog's like starting to really like do well. And my friend Zach told, a very good friend of mine, we talked every day. He's like, you should change the name. I was like, no, why? He's like, it's really off-putting. And I was like, it's stupid. I go, who cares? He was like, no, people aren't going to... I was like, it's a blog where I upload music. I go, how far could it go? I was like, it's a music piracy blog. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah,
and so now, like, as year after year goes by, I'm just like, fuck. And I'm just like, I had a chance. And I'm like, and I didn't do it. But no, I like the name. The story behind it's good too.
Yeah, what's the story behind it?
So you like basketball, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so do you remember Kobe's rookie year, the dunk contest?
Through the legs.
Yeah. So so like Kobe, I mean, I don't know if you know like the story about like Kobe's like life story.
Yeah.
So he's like now like most basketball players that come through the league are like children of like former pros
Right,
and stuff.
yeah,
right.
Kobe was one of the first, right? Most of the other dudes were like hoop dreams, like poor dudes who came from poor neighborhoods who like were like paying their way. And Kobe's like, oh, I speak Italian. My dad lived in Italy, blah, 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 right? Nobody fucked with him. So during the All-Star game, you know, and everyone's like having a good time or whatever. And Kobe's like on the side by himself, just wearing his warm-ups and not talking to anybody. And the announcer's like, this fucking arrogant asshole. Like, look at him. Like nobody even wants to talk to him. And everyone else is like having a good time. And so then the dunk contest happens. He doesn't even take off his warm up and he wins it. And the dude's like, oh, I guess he justified his arrogance. You know? And I'm just like, you know what? Like, that's kind of cool. Like, you can literally do your thing. You can just kind of be aloof and weird and an asshole. And as long as you're good, like, people are going to respect you.
Exactly.
What is the conversation we always have, Perry? What type of asshole
should you be?
Yeah, what type of asshole should I be in this situation?
It's different types
Because you're
of
not
asshole.
always wrong if you're going to do that. Well, you said it perfectly, dude. Like, the insecurity to the arrogance. Like, why? There's a way to do something with, like, at least the arrogance. That self-assurance, yeah.
The thing about sports is sports would teach you a lot of life lessons for real. Yeah. Because, like, at a certain point, like, on sports, it's like, can you win or not for real? You know what I'm saying? If, no matter what I do, if I win this game, y'all ain't got shit to say to me.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, what's the old line from the U? It's like, you don't want us dancing, don't let us in the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, so it's kind of, as long as you do things right, you can do it your way. I think that's kind of the best way to look at it. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think like I don't think there's any right way to be into something for what it's worth. I think like my taste is mine, and you know, there are stuff that's like objectively bad, and I'll like say that. But other than that, like it's kind of my thing, you know. And it's like, yeah, it's fun.
And like one big thing that I appreciate about Justified Arrogance is like you. I know this sounds crazy, but you're kind of like almost like normalizing being a fan of music. Like, I feel like everybody is like too cool for fucking school.
Yeah, we have this conversation a lot on the pod for real. Cause like when I rap, so we be having a bunch of rappers and shit on the pod. And like just like what they said, they be giving that energy like I'm not a fan of nobody. Yeah. Y'all some fans. And like, when did that become a bogus thing to be?
I mean, you know, it's weird because like I think, you know what it is? I think it's a byproduct of like the society we live in where everyone views themselves as a brand or an extension of like they themselves are a brand. Everything they do is an extension of it. So you can't be a fan of another brand because you're essentially like shilling another product almost. So like that's why I feel like bands don't do covers much anymore. Yeah, because like they'd rather play one of their songs than like a cover, even though a cover's like more fun or whatever. But and there's nothing wrong with that. And like the stuff that I do, it's not like I wouldn't say it's like worship. Like to me, it's like I would almost say like, hey, like I remember being a kid and seeing like Phil on. This is a horrible reference point. You already know where I'm going. We're from Arlington. Yeah. It's fine. I can reference this. It's fine. Hometown immunity. But like Phil Anselmo, like I just remember like seeing videos of him like putting his foot on like a monitor. And I'm like, that sounds stupid, but like when you're 13, you think that's cool for whatever reason, you know, or like just stupid. you know, or shit when you watch Slipknot play,
Yeah.
like stuff like that, like, you know, and you take from that. You know?
I remember motherfuckers first start throwing the guitar around their body.
That's definitely a Christian metalcore move right there.
Right, Under Oath or some
Yeah,
shit.
let's go.
I don't think I ever saw Under Oath.
Nah, I've never seen him either.
You haven't?
No, don't do this.
I actually promised
Cut the mics.
We agreed not on the pod. We're not.
we agree. This is the West Side Story, Dallas and Fort Worth.
Get the fuck out of here.
Even though we're both from Arlington.
Get the fuck out of here. Move on.
But like, as a motherfucker that make music myself, like I be thinking like that's what I want somebody. I want somebody to come up to me and be like, I like your music, bro. Like whenever that happens, it makes me feel so good. Sort of like what you were talking about when you post music and you put people on this shit. Like that's such a great feeling. I want that for every artist that I'll fuck with for real. So like I ain't got no problem going up there and be like, I fuck with your shit.
Oh,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, actually,
Bands need to do that more.
there's a pop artist I fuck with really hard, and I was like very stoked when she followed me back on Instagram, and I just remembered like messaging her something. I was like, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Like I had to say, because like I love her work.
Who was it?
I was just a,
Oh no, 84, 85.
I never heard it. I'm gonna check it out.
I'm not gonna call her hyperpop because I know she personally hates being called hyperpop, but I think others would. But I like her work, so, and I'm a huge fan, so I would recommend it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that's the most rewarding thing as an artist for to have that. And like people make it seem like it's a bad thing to like somebody's music for real. Especially in rap. Cause I'm like, y'all all rapping the same anyway. So you like this shit.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like in rap the branding's like way more pronounced, right? Like where it's like it's not just like the rapper itself, but then there's like either a label or a collective behind it. Like with Sosa it was like GBE or like Thug it was like YSL and stuff like that. The YSL shit got really weird.
I'm happy that shit actually. I'm happy that
Like
rappers
it's organized crime, and I was like, whoa. I was like,
free Jeff, man. Fuck are y'all talking about, man?
I've been listening to that man for like 12 years.
Period. I know that's fucking right.
I was like,
Part,
when like in court they were like, it's an organized crime outfit. I was like, whoa. I was like,
No.
Listen, John Gotti beat that RICO charge 4 times, so I have faith.
This is what happens when people who don't take Xanax listen to Young Thug. Like if y'all took
They're really locked in.
if y'all took some bars, you would get it, and you would be like, yeah, like, that's what he means by slime. Yeah, it's all there.
I do have a question, I guess, before we go on break. And this might be like left field, and Nate doesn't know I'm going to ask this, but I feel like the position that you're in right now, I just know that you're very familiar with like talking about this kind, like this genre of, I don't want to say genre of music, but this kind of music where you feel like you're familiar and you know a lot about it and a lot of background. How do you not find yourself like gatekeeping? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nate? Like we talked about this on the pod before, like something about like we went through it at a time and we found what we liked and we went through like all of the dirt and shit, and then when people like the band, it's like, oh, but do you know about this?
Yeah.
How do you stay in like, I guess, a positive lane of trying to put people on instead of being like, you've never heard of this before, but you like this band?
Yeah.
Like,
You know, it's like gatekeeping is not about like. I think some people view it as like a force keeping people out, and I view it more as like education. And I think like you have to listen. Subculture is subculture for a reason. It's not monoculture. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's not Imagine Dragons. It's not that way. It's not that way for it's not that way for a reason.
yeah, dead ass, yeah.
And so I think like if you come here, like be willing to learn about it, because I think listen, this is all part. You come into this room, right, in like Chicago or Dallas or New York or wherever the fuck you are, and you are part of a community that's existed, and that community exists as part of a multitude of communities, right? These like in the New York hardcore scene's connected to Boston and DC and Philly and whatever. And then on top of that, now it's across time. So it's like, there's like, I hate this term, but old heads or whatever, right? Like everything exists in the same place. Hardcore is like a young enough genre where it's like only 45, 43 years old, 44 years old. Like the people who founded it are still around.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like there's no other genre of music that can say that. Really. I mean, that's not true. There are, but like for like guitar music, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important like that people want to come here to learn about it. They don't, and I think part of the problem, and I think this is again a byproduct of culture at large, is culture at large, because of how social media has created perception to a two-dimensional like representation on a like this an 8-inch screen, right? That's reality. So I can wear like whatever, I can put on a suit and this and that, and people will think I'm like posh or something, and I'm not. But like if I do that and I post it, that's the perception. Right. So, and now it's easier than ever to get a shirt of a band. Like, dude, I had to fucking, and you know this, you guys had to fucking put cash in an envelope.
Oh God, for real. Like the idea of buying merch from my card is so weird to me now.
yeah. But like what I'm saying is like, you had to work to do that, and now it's accessible, and that's fine. It's fine. It's just the nature of technology and the way things are. Everything's just conducted there. But like, the education can't go away, you know, and you have to want to grow. I mean, and I'm not saying you should like you know, like before we started recording, I was like, whoa, you're like, what do you listen to now? I was like, Canto Pop, which is like Hong Kong pop from the early 90s and 80s. And like, when I listen, I'm 37. Like, I don't just listen to hardcore. I do, but like, I listen to other stuff. Yeah. So you have to want to grow. And I think that's like kind of the point, is to challenge people to do that, you know? And it's like, it's not a passing phase. It's not something you're just going to come in. You know, I used to have this thing, this is when Vice was still around, but I used to call these kids interns, where like they'd come in for like a year or two, you know, get the shirts that they needed to go to the shows they needed to go to, and then get a job at Vice. Yeah. And then they'd put, I had an internship at Hardcore. And that was like...
Yeah, that's crazy. That was a thing.
Yeah. Oh, God, for real.
Yeah. And, yeah, go ahead, sorry. No.
Oh, I'm glad you said it, because like, I'm a big advocate of bring back gatekeeping. I always talk about, I was like, bring back gatekeeping, because like we were talking about it in terms of hating last week on the podcast. And I was like, I'm only hating because I'm old. First of all, I'm old enough that I don't give a fuck how you perceive me when I tell you what I'm about to tell you. And I'm only telling you that to make your shit better.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, that's the only reason I'm saying.
And I get that. And like, we've spoken on it a lot before, but like, an example I use is like, you know, when young kids get into hardcore, you know, people will be like, oh, you like Turnstile? How do you not like Snapcase? You know what I mean? Or something like that. And it's like, because I haven't gotten there yet. You know what I mean? And like,
but this how you get there.
I mean, my first like real Dallas hardcore shit. Oh God, sorry. Nate.
No. You're just gonna get there eventually. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we got into an entry. Like, I mean, I started out. Me and James were listening to like Mudvayne and shit, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you
like,
saw the picture.
I know. I had to get you back.
Send the pig for the slide for the post. No, just kidding.
Chris Mason.
Hey, what's insane is that is probably a $250 T-shirt now, but.
Yeah, actually, I think about that kind of often.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't even my shirt; it was Andrew's.
Yeah, a lot of shirts still haunt me, but anyway.
Today's the day one.
All right, well, but yeah, man, I just feel like kids will get there eventually, you know.
Yeah, but like I like that you said it's an educational thing, because I'm not hating on you because I want you to go away. I'm hating on you because I want you to understand. You know what I'm saying?
But they'll get there.
And I feel like, and if I'm saying it to you, I feel like I see something in you that like I want to see grow.
I don't know if they will, man.
I don't know if they will either.
Call me like glass half empty, but like I see it and I see the stubbornness and stuff, and like.
But see, and that's what I'm talking about. That feeling, I still feel like you're educating like the culture on like this music, but that stubbornness, like how does that not even like fold back into you, where you're like, oh well then. Fuck it, you guys don't want to know about where the origins and where this shit really came from. Fuck y'all then. You'll get to it eventually, I guess. But that's where we be like feeling really like tough on like the youth. Like you guys don't know. Like I don't have to be the guy to tell you.
That's because I'm old and I don't give a fuck.
But they're getting there. They're getting there because you can't buy. They're getting there because you can't buy an original. You know, obituary shirt for less than $250 because these kids are getting them. You know what I mean? Because they're like.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too. Well, I was gonna say that was like the stubbornness and stuff is like to answer that. How I'll tell you this: my first Dallas hardcore show, I came in wearing a Census Fail shirt.
Nice, let's go. Sick, I love Census Fail.
I remember,
they probably ate your ass up a lot.
Goodbye, Steven.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. But like this guy, I'll never forget it. He actually didn't like me the first like 2 years. We talk like once a week now. This guy Mike Hope, and he was like a Dallas legend. And this dude was like, that band sucks. And I remember thinking, I was like, that Mike Hope is a fucking asshole. and Mike would just keep doing
Love
that
this shirt.
about like other bands I was excited about. But like Mike would be like, you need to check this band out. You need to check this band out. And I did.
Yeah.
And then that's it. It's like,
yeah, I never thought about that because that's how I did it. Like it took me so
Same,
long.
actually, you're right,
It took me so long to beat the scene kid allegations, bro. It took me so long. And I was just because
Scene kid allegations
they
is
were like,
crazy.
nice Chiodo shirt, bro. You need to listen to, you know what I'm saying?
And then once you do, they're like,
I'm like, oh yeah.
remember that time you wore that Giotto shirt?
Yeah. Then I came in, then I got to stick to your guns hoodie and I showed up. You know what I'm saying?
but
I'm trying.
But yeah, like I think that's all. Just listen. I don't know. Like no one's if they're going out of their way to recommend. Like if that's one thing, if they're like this sucks and you don't belong here, and I dealt with some of that too.
Yeah, that's prevalent. That's very prevalent in all cities.
And my first year, I had a lot of that where it was like you don't belong here. And you know what I did? I went to every show and I checked out every
Let 'em
band. And
know.
I was like, I'm gonna learn as much as I can about this.
Yeah.
To prove I do belong here.
Yeah.
And I stayed,
awesome.
you know, and that
That's
was like,
exactly how I was. Because I would go to shows, I'd be like, who is Walls of Jericho? My homie would be like, go to this show. And I'd be like, I'm finna go. You know what I'm
what
saying?
was that like the Midwest? Were those
Shit.
those shows are crazy in Dallas. So
Shit, no. The mid,
never saw
because,
you didn't? You
Nah, I
weren't at
never
that terror show at the Gypsy Tea Room? It's not fucked up. That was the name of the venue. It's
who
cool.
did I see?
I was just about to say that name is crazy.
No, that was the name of the venue. It's cool.
I'm trying to think.
It's not fucked up.
I just remember that sounds crazy.
My eyes just got wide as hell. Wait. Oh my
No.
Yeah, they had to do that name the fuck
It
up
was
out of
there.
there.
it exists.
It was actually a crazy show there. I remember, I think they got rid of the pool table not long after that. I was Remembering Never and Terror. And I think Unearth. When the
Unearthed,
kids were like using like pool cues and like billiard balls to beat up like all the metal kids. I think Through the Eyes of the Dead played too.
Ooh, maybe.
I didn't go to that, but I heard kids
I was
without,
there.
and I heard they got rid of the pool table not long after
there.
that. I was really, I don't remember.
I remember that was the first time I heard
I
Drop
had
It
to
Like
look
It's
it up
Hot.
and confirm. That show was Walls of Jericho and Shattered Realm at the Pearl Room in Mokina, Illinois.
So fucking random. Mokina.
Hell yeah, yo.
That was a mosh
Well, look,
fest
hold on.
right there.
Let's get into the break real quick.
Okay.
What you were saying a bunch of shit. I was asking you like, what should we be in tune with? What you fucking with right now?
Okay.
What's that? I got stigmatism up right now.
Stigmatism, Abysm, Toxic State Records from Brooklyn is awesome. I can't say enough good things. They've been putting out awesome releases from New York for well over a decade. But like Hank Wood was on there, or is on there.
Oh, cool. Hank was on there?
Yeah, Crazy Spirits on there.
Cool.
So yeah, awesome label. The dude John that runs it's awesome. But yeah, the Stigmatism, Abysm LPs both came out a couple months ago. Salvaje Punk came out in March, which is like awesome. My friend Joe is the drummer of that band and
Sick.
is an incredible drummer. So
Yeah.
So when we are planning the pod, we are going over questions and things. I kept saying bootlegging, and I was like, "Is that bogus to say? Should I say bootlegging?"
Is there another term that is
mean-
not as derogatory? Why does that sound so derogatory?
Yeah.
I think it's like derogatory for a different reason now, personally. But yeah, I mean, it's not a good word. But I mean, it's like, listen, this is why I've always like kind of, not to jump into it, but I've always like lashed out at bootleggers who treat themselves like brands.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, everything you're doing is stolen IP. Like you are one lawsuit away from oblivion. You're one angry license holder away from like the end of your life. Like
Yeah.
you don't own any of this. So
Yeah.
like to pretend that you do is like weird.
Delulu.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I remember, James, like when you first started, like, and not to say, I mean, this is like one quote that you said that always stuck with me. It's like when you first started doing it, like I think the first thing you did when you were at Shogun or whatever, you did that Slayer Hanging Boy shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you sent it to me, sent it to a bunch of friends or whatever. But like I remember you always say, no person should ever pay more than $100 for a T-shirt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. For real, yo.
And like, you know, because like especially us as older and we're in the style and shit like that, we gotta have the OG, we gotta have this, that, and the third. But you were always like, yo, like get the bootleg and wear that shit and make that shirt your story. When you put on someone else's like OG, that's their story on your body and you have to redo that.
So like where I got that from, I think it's actually from a Vice short about raw denim in Japan.
Oh, okay, cool.
But like it was like they were talking to some old dude who was like, I don't know what the term is for a dude who makes denim, but like that. And he was like, you know what's the best thing about like a very well-worn pair of jeans? He's like, you can actually get a snapshot of a person's soul. And he's like, because it contours to your body.
Yeah.
And if you wear stuff in your pockets, it contours to that. And like if you get a stain on there or a tear, that's all your experiences, right? That's all literally everything you've done. And I always thought that was really cool. And yeah, to what you just said, like that's where I bootleg that quote. But
Wow. Full circle,
Full
baby.
circle. We love to see it, man.
Yeah, and just like I think like it's weird when people spend like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on a shirt that like for what, you know? Honestly, there's actually a really good quote. It was from Courtney. That's the one that's married to Travis Barker, right? Courtney.
Yeah.
I can't keep track. Kourtney Kardashian, her stylist did an interview, and it was like right after I think like Khloe or Courtney got. See, I can't keep track.
They're the same exact person.
Fuck them.
One of them. But one of them got called out for wearing like a band shirt, and she doesn't know shit about band shirts. And her stylist was like, she loves raiding Travis's closet. They're the most soft, like well-worn shirts. And I'm like, that's it. She doesn't give a fuck what's on that. It's about the textile, how worn it is. And I'm like, just fucking buy blank shirts, you know? And like, that's all you have to do. Like, you're literally just buying it for like just a well-worn textile, you know?
100%.
And so for me, to where I started, it was like redoing designs that were like reproductions of designs that were like $400,000 or $500,000, or designs that people hadn't seen in years and, you know, or ever.
Yeah, yo.
And so, that's how it really kicked off. Was just that was like a passion for that.
For sure. For example, like I gave Evan I gave Evan an old Power Trip shirt. You know what I mean? Like it was around the time that I was just getting them, and I was like, yeah, dog, wear this shit. This fool wore it all the time, and every time I see this fool wearing this shirt, I'm like, God damn it, dude! This shit looks beautiful. It's like cooked. It's cooked to perfection,
dude.
You know what I mean?
I came.
Yeah, exactly.
I came so close to giving away.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I came so close to giving away my my "You Say No to Drugs" shirt. Yeah, because it's a medium. Because like, whatever. I didn't know what I was thinking back then. I was high on cocaine. And
okay.
Can I not say cocaine?
You can say yak.
This is a family program. No, just kidding, bro. What? No, this is a safe space, though.
Okay. But I had a medium, and I was like going to give it to a friend, and I ended up not. And I'm really glad I didn't. But yeah, I like, you know what? Like, okay, Power Trip shirts is a great example, right? Yeah. I have some ones that are beat to shit.
Yeah.
Like, things like I've used them for every purpose that a shirt can be used for.
Don't do this.
Cut the mics.
No. I'm going. So, do y'all trust me? I'm going somewhere.
All right. Trust the process, y'all.
But what I'm saying is, like, I look at that shirt and I see all of that. I see every experience that I've had with this shirt, everything I've been through with it, and like, you know, you get what I'm saying. So it's not.
Yeah, no. For
but
real.
like, so like. I guess like to me, it's like you buy a 30-year-old shirt and what do you see? Do you just see like a really expensive, well-worn textile? Like what do you see when you look at that? Because I don't, like, you know, because like I said, like I have a Power Trip shirt at this point, it's like what, 12, 15 years old. And it's like, I see where I got it. I see what it's been through. I see the moments where it got scuffed up and I was really mad. You know, it's like, you know, I see the days that I remember most of the days that I wear it, you know, and it's like, that's cool. So I guess like to me, it's like people like buy up vintage or like that's like your steez. Like no offense, Nate. Like what do you see? You know, like I guess that's kind of what I'm saying is like that's why I'm not anti-vintage. They are comfortable shirts and like, listen, that's printed beautifully, and I don't think I could do it better.
Yeah, personally. The only reason I have this is because it was the lockdown and I had money and I was drunk.
No,
and you didn't make
it
this
really
line.
be like that though.
But ever since that, I've been like, James,
you're COVID.
I'll be like, James, send me a
Biden bucks.
I'll be like, James, send me a 2X so I can beat the dog shit out of this shirt.
Yeah, dude, and that's cool though. I mean, that's what it should be, you know. And I think like as time goes on too, one thing that, especially with old hardcore shirts, is like, so like a Super Bowl Hardcore 3 shirt, right? That Warzone made for one shirt. One show in 1989.
Oh yeah,
that's like that shirt like was $500 20 years ago. You know, and now it's like $1,000, $2,000 if it's in good enough shape. Yeah, that's like a historical artifact.
Yeah.
I would, if you own one, like, and you wear it, God bless, but it is like straight up like a piece of history.
Yeah.
You know, that shit should be like framed. You know, it was like literally made for one show in New York, you know, over 30 years ago. That's crazy. So it's like, that's a shirt that was actually one of the first real projects I did for restoration. And I hired this guy off Bridge 9 and I tortured that dude. He would send me he'd be like, it's ready. And I'd be like, with my like OCD autist ass eye, I would just be like, no, it's not. And I'd be like, do it again. And just went for this on it for months. I felt so bad. And like, I think that dude only quoted me like $50. He should have charged me a lot more. And God bless him, he got it right. But it took a while. But I think that's also part of why I think the stuff I do is really good, is I think there's a lot of care with it and a lot of attention to detail. But yeah, and it's, again, like, the reason I bootlegged it is not because, you know, money. It's just because, like, it's a piece of history. It's also an awesome, shirts fundamentally are wearable art.
Yeah.
Full stop. You know, it is literally art when the canvas is the t-shirt, and that's the point of it. So it's meant to be worn.
Yeah.
It's, you know, so when you, listen, I'm not arguing. It's a historical artifact. God bless. You know, frame that shit. You know, give it to your kids. Like, put your kids through college and sell it, whatever. But like, that design's meant to be worn.
Yeah,
and at one point it was worn. And it should be worn. You know, I think that's kind of my point.
Yeah, like in Chicago, like we didn't have a lot of like vintage like t-shirt like resellers and shit in Chicago. Now we just starting to get them.
Yeah,
have fun with that.
But like,
it's like
we never really had that shit. So like,
shirts for like
I remember
$400 at round 2 type shit.
Yeah, I remember
I
went to LA, and my boy, shout out my boy Charles, Chuck Trizzy, Chuck Trash. I was in like the shops out there looking at shirts. I'm like, damn, this is dope for real. Like, they just got all vintage bands. He was the first time I seen that shit, and I saw they had like the Sonic Youth washing machine shirt in there. And like, Charlie loves Sonic Youth for real, so I was trying to get it for him. I went in there, I had on the Yeezus tour shirt for I bought it to show. And I looked at dude, I'm like, how much is that one? He was like, $500. And I had never heard nothing like that in my life. I'm thinking he finna say $50, $60 for real.
Listen, every vintage Sonic Youth shirt's $500.
Yeah.
Out the door.
And he was like, or you can trade it for the shirt you got on. That's the original. And I'm like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
So I wasn't put it like that.
I wasn't even looking at that shirt as something that could be worth $500.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
I never even thought about that concept before.
Exactly. Like, I even like went into round 2 one time, and like, you know, like I've been getting like the old R&B shirts since like forever.
You were on it very early.
Like getting them for $12 on eBay, sitting in a vet's crib, just like hunting them down. And like I went into round 2 one time. I got a Lauryn Hill shirt. It's like a Lauryn Hill Busta Rhymes like parking lot bootleg shirt. You know what I mean? It was cooked. I got it for like $20. Got it tailored because it was a 2X.
Period. I know that's fucking right. Mr. Garments.
and went into round 2, and this kid walked up to me and goes, I'll give you $500 for that shirt right now. I'm like, no. And he's like, $800. I was like, absolutely not.
Like, shit.
I would have done it.
But it's like,
I could do a lot with $800.
what am I gonna do with $800? Like, okay, so I'm gonna get $800.
Right, you're right. And you won't have that shirt no more.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna buy some shoes. I'm gonna buy all this dumb shit that, you know what I mean. I'd rather just have the shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
But like I say that story, that Sonic Youth story, because like afterwards I was just walking down fucking Fairfax. I went to another one that they was doing another store in there. They were doing bootlegs, and I got him the Sonic Youth shirt from there for real. They had like a bunch of like remakes and shit, and I'm like, that's why it's dope for real, because I know that this motherfucker, that's his favorite band of all time for real. Like he might not ever be able to get no Sonic Youth shirt because if they cost $500, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is like, I had this argument because when I started doing like older New York hardcore boots and stuff like, or hardcore boots, like I had friends who own originals who were like, yo, you're devaluing mine. And I was like, no, I'm not. I was like, listen, I go vintage and bootleg. It's 2 separate tracks.
Yeah,
like
how do they figure? What?
Well, because like, it's just like, it's limited. Fundamentally, it's limited. The design itself is, but like the textile is different, right? One's on like a Comfort Colors.
I was just going to say Comfort Colors.
And like, I mean, again, with vintage, you're ultimately paying for the textile. You're also paying for the history, and like, that's cool. Like, you know, and that's fine. And I think, like I said, it's 2 separate tracks. And that conversation doesn't happen anymore. I think when I do it now, no one ever really says anything. But early on, I think people were concerned. I was like, no, I was like, vintage is vintage, and you know, bootleg is its own thing.
So on that tip, like I know you fuck with like shoes and like I mean, of course, like garments, but like, how do you feel about reps when it comes to sneakers?
How do I feel about what?
About reps, like
replicas.
Nah, I can't do that.
yeah, see,
We was talking, I guess last week I came to the realization I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna start buying fake shoes. I don't give a fuck.
I can't do it. I can't.
I don't know if I could be recorded saying that.
You know what it is?
It has to be. It has to be like the right shoe. I feel like
I will never get the Chicago. I would never get the black toes. Black toe Jordan was for real.
You know what it is, man, is like I can't in good conscience like buy a replica of Nike. I can't do it. I can't fucking like of a shoe that dropped like 2 weeks ago. I can't do it. Like if it was like a replica of like something that was like something from like if someone
Like some
bootleg,
breads, you know.
no, if someone bootleg like the Decades, like the Heaven's Gate shoes, that like, and apparently Nike will not talk about those shoes,
Yeah.
so they'll never get made again. So if somebody turned around and bootleg those,
Wait, excuse me? Heaven's Gate shoes?
Yeah,
they did that?
Well, no, because they was all
no. So what it was?
Not the cold shit.
So it was.
They was all wearing those.
Yeah. So what they did?
Oh
was
yeah, when they did their
went to, like,
suicide.
They all went to like a Ross Dress for Less.
Oh no!
And they
got them
bought
Nike.
they bought like
Those are hard,
They
too.
bought
I
like
forget what
40
design.
pairs of Nike Decade shoes, so they all matched. And so they all died in them. So they were like, and of course when they were like photographed with the sheets over them,
sheet and their
all you
feet
could see were the
sticking
fucking
out.
shoes.
Yeah, with the swoosh.
I would have been in there looking for the 13s.
Bro, originals go for $6,000 now.
I'm sure, yo.
God
And,
damn.
and
I would have been right in Waco, ready.
And I have a couple friends who've like worked with Nike, and I guess like when they go to like the mothership and like they talk to them, and they're like, oh, you know, we can like get you anything from the archive to look at. And it's like, oh, it's up with the Decades. They're like, we don't talk about those. So they get real tight about it. So, yeah, like if someone bootleg that, that's great. But like if it was like some, I don't know, it's a reference point where it doesn't sound snarky.
Something new. Something that just Travis Scott's or some shit.
Yeah, right. I feel like I saw a few fake TS's while we were just.
I can't do it.
But that's the thing. Yeah, I wouldn't do something like that. It had to be some shit that I wanted for a long time. Like I said, them black toes, those breads. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but if you wanted them that long, just pay resale on them. If it's not like
You
a stack.
can't get. I can't.
If it's not a stack, if it's like
it'd be a stack, bro, for them
it's
breads, yo. It'd
Is
be a
it?
stack
Okay.
for real.
I haven't-
Only for
Especially
his
in
regular
Chicago.
size, because
Bro,
you wear
I
a 10. Yeah.
Especially
I wear a 10 and a half. I feel
Yeah,
your pain.
especially in Chicago, bro. You not for to get them bitches. You know what I'm saying?
I wear 13. It's love sometimes.
Right, I was about to say, Nate might have the best luck ever.
It might be mega love or super,
super
out
love.
of there. Yeah.
You know what it is? You know what, though, for like that replica is like hard is like replica like luxury shit. If it's like bootleg Gucci or bootleg Louis, because anyone who like is dropping mad bread on stuff like that's probably an asshole. Like think about how many people you know that like actually have real money for that, where they're head to toe like super luxe shit. You probably don't fuck with people like that.
Yeah.
In our day to day, we don't
We
know.
know one. Shout out our boy. King come in here. King can come in here head to toe drip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he gets shit for retail. I have the same closet. I get none of it for retail.
So yeah, I mean like that's, and I'm saying this as I used to work off Canal Street, so I would like literally walk by all this shit every day, and I'm like, I was like that fake Gucci bag looking pretty good,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm like,
We were talking about doing that. Like, okay, so like, yeah, because I was thinking about getting some fake Tom Brown shit. So
Right, and you saying the luxury shit, those fucking Rick Owens fucking stickers got me in a chokehold. Those are the only ones, because I'm not paying $1,200 for that regular ass
oh yeah,
Chuck Taylor,
yeah,
damn
for the
near.
Ramones,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bro, I love how that shoe looks.
But
I worked next door to the Rick Owens store for like 6 months. It was weird. It's always weird.
Yeah, I've definitely been in that store too. I was telling Perry about that too while we're trying to like look at some shops. I'm like, yeah, it'd be different when you go to like Chelsea and shit. You're in those shops, like you know, like, and they know you don't have money. It's like a way different experience.
Yeah.
You walk in, there's nothing. It's like tumbleweed.
They don't even want you to see that shit.
No, for real. Can we help you with anything? Do you need anything else?
no, but big props to you though. Like on that tip too. Like I feel like Justified Arrogance is and like the things you put out and the influence you have on like this area of the culture, quote unquote, is major. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's a big thing in streetwear. And I think it's a big thing in skateboarding. I love that you like acknowledge all of these parts of the culture. I hate that term, but I can't think of another.
You keep doing it.
Yeah.
There you go. Keep saying it to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I like making Nate feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, thanks a lot, James.
We was talking about how are you getting away with this? Like, how many people have sent you?
How are you getting away with this?
Like, I'm sure, like especially when you dealing with like old hardcore bands and shit.
Talk
like,
about it.
Do you feel comfortable exposing these secrets? Is it something you could talk about?
Some of it I will talk about.
Okay.
Some of it I won't.
Because I know you got mad cease and desist.
I was about to say, talk about what you can.
I really don't.
Don't worry about the rest.
I really don't, man. Like cease and desist, like officially, I think I've gotten like maybe like 3 ever, and one was like retroactively. So we did this bit. We did a bolt thrower drop. So on Boxing Day, I have a friend. It's fine. I don't think they'll listen to this, but I'm sure someone will rat me out to them about this, so it's fine. But I don't think I'll ever do them again, so it's not a big deal. But I had a friend who's no longer with us, and awesome bootlegger, just really, really good at what he did, and he figured out a way to get around Bolt Thrower. And so I don't know. Do you guys know the background on this band? And
Yes, absolutely.
So so Bolt Thrower is notoriously anti-bootlegger. They will cease and desist you within a day. They will find you, and they have like a network of snitches and spies. It's incredible.
They said absolutely not. Shut them down.
But I actually respect it. I know a lot of people who talk shit on them. I respect it because what they wanted to do is they created their merch as an experiential part of their shows. You could only buy their merch at their shows. Yeah. Like they've never had a web store.
I kind of fuck with that.
So I fuck with it really hard. I think that's awesome.
And they know who they are. They're the perfect death metal band.
Bro, they've left the fact that like they've left so much money on the table over the years for not doing e-com, good for them.
Kind of sick. Punk rock. What?
Yeah. I mean they're all old British crust punks who just got into death metal later on down the road. And so I respect it. So I had a couple of designs I wanted to do. So I planned it where I wanted to do it on Boxing Day at 8 p.m. New York time, which was 1 a.m. in the UK while they were asleep. And then,
I know that's fucking right.
And then we were gonna run it until midnight New York time, which is 5 a.m. UK time, and pull everything. So by the time they were awake, we were gone. So it was like a weird like while they slept sneak attack.
I love that.
And I didn't post anything all week because usually like during the week I'll be like, oh, I'm doing this week. And I didn't do any of that. I just posted clips of Saving Private Ryan with Bolt Thrower song titles.
Period.
To just hint at it.
Imply.
Yeah.
And
because all their songs are about fucking war, basically.
Yeah.
You know.
If you don't know, yeah.
And so like crushed it. It like shattered records like for a ton of stuff. And then we thought we got away with it. And the next day they sent a cease and desist.
Somebody was up.
Somebody sent a screenshot.
Somebody was up.
The early bird gets the worm.
He's like, I don't sleep, dog.
So I got that, and I was like, hey, like, I got away with it, and it's fine. And it was really cool. Like, I just, listen, most of the time when I do something, I just want to do it to say I did it.
Yeah.
Like, my goal is, like, did I do the best shirt of this subject? And then there's subjects where I see other people do it, and I'm like, fuck, they did it so good. I don't even want to try.
What's your favorite drop that you've done? Actually, we can even break it down by genre. What's your favorite death metal drop that you've done?
Death metal drop?
Yeah.
The Bolt Thrower one.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, after that one, though. I thought Death was really good.
Which one? The spiritual healing one?
Yeah.
That was really good. Yeah, that was cool. And then there was another Death one I did. We had this thing, so I actually figured out a way to get good designs.
Yeah.
So I figured out vintage collectors are like addicts, and they want another fix, and they need more. Their fix meaning more shirts, and they need money to do it, but they don't want to give up any of their existing shirts to get more shirts. So what I started doing was I would hit up really eminent collectors like on collection sites, and I'd be like, hey, I will give you $1,000 for pictures of these 20 shirts. And they would be like, wait, you'll give me $1,000 for pictures of my shirts. I'm like, yes. But
I didn't know you were giving it up like that to get those.
Dude, it paid for itself like multiple times.
Yeah, sick. Yeah.
And they always like were like, no questions asked, done. And again, just to say we did it, where it's like there was a designer or a collector I knew in like Italy who had like literally like the only ones I'd seen of certain designs in the wild. Where I was like, yo, man, like how much? And You know, and it was funny. I hit him up for 700, and he was like, "No, I'm good." And I was like, "Watch." I was like, a shirt's gonna come along where he's gonna need the scratch, and I was like, he's gonna come back. And like a month later, he's like, "Would you do it for 1,000?" And I was like, "You gotta add these other 6 shirts." And he was like, "Done." I was like, "Awesome."
Period.
And I'm sure vintage collectors out there are going to recoil when I compare them to addicts. So,
No, because that was gonna be my next question about the process. I was thinking, I'm like, is he remaking the artwork himself, or like, but like that makes sense that you hitting people up to get the photos and shit.
yeah, because like, dude, you can shoot a photo in RAW and you can pull out everything now.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to scan shit anymore.
Yeah, the new Adobe shit is crazy.
Yeah. and so I have like a few designers who are really good with that. And yeah, and I work with a couple of other vintage sellers. Honestly, it's cool. Like I said, vintage and bootleg are so segmented now that like vintage sellers aren't threatened by what I do because they know that like they're still going to sell their shit no matter what I do. Most of the time they're like, "Hey, I'll pay me or whatever," and then they're just like, "Don't sell it till after I sell mine." And I'm like, "Done, easy." You know, I've been sitting on designs that we did like 2 years ago that bolt thrower shit we've been sitting on for like over a year. That dystopia drop we had for like 2 years before we did it.
And I'm sure they get a feeling that like what you, like I said when we were talking about before, like what you doing it for, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure they know that they could probably look at your shit and their track record and know that you're not just trying to get money for
no
real.
the money like I have like a good day job. The money just pays for the next project.
Yeah, exactly, for real.
And that's like kind of how I feel.
Because I feel like that's when they would be like, "Nah, bro." Like they saw what you was doing, but like you actually trying to do something positive for the culture. Like you saying, you got lists and shit that you be putting out. You actually doing shit for the culture for real.
Yeah.
And like this just paying, like you said, it's just paying for itself type shit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like, listen, I've never been in a band. I have the blog, and I think that passes for like a zine. But like the shirts I did are cool, and I think some of them are the best for the subjects that they did. And I can say I did that. So like when I'm done or gone or whatever, I can say that I did that. And that's
I mean,
cool.
you're definitely number one in the game.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, of course. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize for the love.
This
is a love podcast, okay?
Thank you for being supportive. What's the Golden Girls? Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend.
Cheers.
Oh, do you do the printing yourself?
I partner with a bunch of print shops.
Sick.
One in Los Angeles for a while. There's one in Brooklyn that I've worked with he was the first one I worked with. There's a shop in Detroit that I'm talking to. There's a shop in Kentucky I'm talking to. There's another shop in Philly I'm talking to. So I'm trying to spread it out.
Yeah.
For different jobs and different needs. So it's definitely not me. Screen printing's hard, man.
It is for real.
I worked
God.
I worked at a shop and I didn't learn a lick of it. I probably should have. Honestly. I could have saved myself a lot.
I took like printmaking in like college and shit, and like probably like 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm finna start making my own merch." I ordered a press off of Amazon and shit. I still to this day have not used that press.
Dude, it's a craft. I mean, I don't think people. You see the videos and you're like, just press the squeegee down.
It's always with the fucking squeegee. I got this. I could do that.
Motherfuckers like apprentice to do this shit.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, you can't make like a cause of death obituary shirt with a squeegee.
Well, if you
know
can
what I
say
mean?
it or
Like,
not, because I feel like it's so, and I don't want it to be so derogatory and like hush hush or whatever. But if you can talk about it, is it a thing when you work with all these like printing companies? Like, do you have to talk about what you're doing? Like,
no, they know
So do you get kind of like people who will like turn it down because they're like, "Oh shit, you're doing that," or will printers really print anything? They're like, "Hey, you got some money? Yeah, we'll print it."
It depends. Some of them won't, depending on contracts. Like I know this shop, and it's a guy I'm friends with, and I like hit him up a while ago, and I was like, "Hey, would you be open to doing stuff together?" You know. And when I started, like he does a lot of stuff for bands officially. He has like he runs stores for bands, and he's like, "I can't touch metal stuff."
Okay.
He's like, "I can't touch it."
Okay.
He's like, "You can send me movie stuff, anything that isn't like music. I don't give a shit." But he's like, "You can't send me music stuff." And I'm like, you know what? I'm all about respecting everyone else's boundaries and what their comfort level. I think as time has gone on, I think like the stigma has gone away because this used to be like a straight up. I remember this one guy I knew. He did some AFI bootlegs, and the print shop printed them horribly. And
Believable.
he was like, yo, I don't want to pay for these. These suck. And the guy was like, and he'd already paid him. He's like, I want my money back. He's like, no, fuck you. And he's like, also, these are bootlegs. He's like, what are you going to do? Who are you going to run to? And I was like,
can I run
whoa.
to?
Yeah, because it's like getting shitty. Oh, who you finna tell? You finna tell the cops?
I was like, damn, you got G-checked about AFI.
Yeah, that's crazy. Not a fire inside really put it. Souls of the Sorrow? Holy shit.
Sing the sorrow.
Oh, yeah, Sing the Sorrow. Shout out AFI.
What era AFI was it?
Fuck, I don't remember.
Black Sails on the Sunset Guarantee.
I hope so, because that's my shit,
Yeah.
bro. God called in sick today, my nigga.
My nigga is wild.
Do you do movie stuff too?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I did some.
Any favorites? Any Halloween favorites since we're coming off of spooky season?
I did a bunch of horror movie ones last year that didn't do. 2 years ago that weren't like the hot. I did Scream earlier this year.
Scream was fire.
That was cool. I wanted to do that one for a while. Yeah, I haven't done a ton of horror. I think you know what it is because horror is like done really hard. There's a lot of horror movie bootleggers, and they're all like weird and territorial, and their customers are like the worst people. So it's like it's enough for me to like not want to deal with it.
For sure.
So yeah, I kind of stick to like mob movie stuff.
Cool. Yeah. What's your I guess outside of horror, what's like the best like what that you like that a boot that you did of
movie
a
stuff?
Movie, yeah. Your favorite?
I did a Goodfellas one that popped off
Sick.
really hard.
Yeah, with like, the blurry logo.
Yeah. Yo, dude. So you know what's been funny about that? So you've seen like the Supreme Motion logo. Right?
Motion logo. My bad.
No, that's whatever. Same thing. So like Supreme has that. It's like the Motion logo. It's clearly taken from Goodfellas in the opening sequence where the logo is like whizzing by. So Goodfellas doesn't actually have a Motion logo. So like Supreme kind of like took it and did their own touch to it. And my designer, I found a Reddit thread that was like how to make a Supreme Motion logo. And I sent it to my designer and I was like, do this, but for Goodfellas.
That shit was hard as fuck.
And it worked out awesome. Yeah, it killed it. I watched that movie nonstop for 3 straight days in my bedroom. And like that's how we ended up on it. And super proud of it. And then like LeBron ended up wearing it on TV, which was like really funny. Yeah. I'm not a big LeBron fan, so it was like I
Me
think
neither.
Like, I think
That's
like
crazy to see LeBron in your shit.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It was
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
it was weird. You know what? I remember because it was
We
like
wearing Tom Brown khakis with
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
wearing Tom Brown pants. I peeped.
That was the first time him and Russell Westbrook were seen out in public together. After
For
Westbrook
real?
was on, like, yeah. And I had people blowing up my phone, and it was like weird. And like I knew it was kind of like I knew the guy who hit me up and was like, "Goodfellas is LeBron's favorite movie. Do you mind sending a bunch over?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "I'll pay you for them." I was like, "I don't care." I was like, "Whatever. He wears it. It pays for itself. I don't give a shit."
Period. That part.
Yeah. So, and like in my head, I was like, "He's gonna wear it like getting coffee or something." I was like, and like TMZ will
not
see
courtside.
Yeah, not courtside in the summer league next to Russell Westbrook. Yeah. It's like it's on the next day on like First Take and shit. And I'm like, oh.
Damn.
Oh, what about Jesus Lizard?
Jesus Lizard was good.
Yeah. That one went crazy, right?
That one went really crazy. I think Nope. Is that the movie?
Yeah.
Jordan Peele.
Yeah. That one helped a lot. Because like I saw like the promo photos of Keke Palmer wearing it.
Yeah.
And, like
saw that in theaters. I was like, ah.
You know, so it's weird. So the way we figured it out, so they did buy a vintage one, but I guess like they didn't want to wreck it because it was like $1,000. So they bought a couple of the ones we did.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Damn.
I know
That makes
crazy.
fucking sense.
Okay.
because
It all
it
checks out.
Damn, they paid the 2 bands for the original.
Well, I'm actually stoked about all that because it worked out for Jesus Lizard because first of all, that shirt was like $1,000.
Yeah.
Like out the door.
Yeah.
You couldn't get it for less than that. And after that movie and after like that, they put it back up on their store. So you can get it for like $30. And I think that's cool. And I think like, you know what, you should have done that in the first place.
Yeah.
If you did, I would never made it.
Yeah.
I literally the ad copy for that shirt was nobody should have to pay $1,000 for a shirt.
Yeah.
You idiot, because the back said you idiot.
Yeah. Supply and demand.
So I mean, good for the Jesus Lizard. I hope they made a bunch of money after that because they're awesome and they deserve it too.
They're great.
So, yeah.
What's your favorite punk movie?
My favorite punk movie?
Yeah.
That's a great question, Paris.
It's not SLC Punk.
I knew it wasn't gonna be that. That wasn't even in my mind. If you had said that, I'd be like, all right, cool.
I mean, like, I guess it's like a documentary, but like, does Decline of Western Civilization count?
Yeah, that counts.
Oh yeah,
that counts.
absolutely.
I still haven't seen the second one. I know they put a second one out.
The second one's low key better.
Is it? I haven't seen that.
They're very different movies. But so wait, do you know the premise of the second one?
It's about like metal and shit, right?
It's about like cock rock.
Like, for real?
So it's like basically like, so the first one's punk, second one's like glam and shit. So, but it's supposed to be like a parody and a satire. So it's kind of supposed to be like a real life Spinal Tap. So
I was just about to say Spinal Tap.
So they have like Paul Stanley doing an interview in a bed with like 10 naked women, and he's like, he's just like, I'm a normal guy, and he's like, and they have one where Ozzy's like talking about doing drugs, but he's like, cooking. Breakfast.
Yeah, who's cooking breakfast? Yeah,
you're probably wondering how I got here.
I remember Ozzy cooking the toast and the eggs, and shit. I was like, this motherfucker is burning these eggs.
So then the really famous part that people always remember though. So there's an interview with Chris Holmes from Wasp.
Oh, word.
The pool interview.
Yeah.
So he's doing this interview and he's like on this like floaty and he's like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm gonna die young. Like I suck. I'm an alcoholic. I love vodka. I love alcohol. I love it more than anything. And he's like stone faced. And his mom is sitting poolside and like the director's just like, how do you feel that like how do you feel that like your son's gonna die young? And she's like, oh, he's living his life. I don't know. Just kind of ambivalent about it. So everyone's just like, damn, this sucks. So like the whole movie is supposed to be this comedy, but this Chris Holmes scene's like ruins it for everything. So you should definitely watch it for the Chris Holmes scene, but the rest of it's really fun.
Yeah, I gotta rewatch it because I definitely remember Ozzy making that toast and eggs in that little small ass fucking UK kitchen.
Yeah, you're funny as hell.
I definitely remember that shit.
But yeah, so it's probably Decline of Western Civilization.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what else would like Repo Man's a punk movie. What else would count?
Anything with punk music.
Yeah, I know, but like I'm trying to think of like what would.
I don't fucking know, honestly.
I was
Lucky don't want to influence you either and start naming off shit. And you're like, oh yeah, I like that.
Well, no, I mean, I already got SLC Punk out of the way.
Offer it.
That's like so ugly. Like, that couldn't even be the one. I didn't want that on you at all. If you started with that, I would have.
You know what's funny about that? I actually think that movie's low key kind of well done, and the acting.
It's alright.
I like that movie.
It's not my favorite.
I don't want that to be the answer for that question.
But the cringe is unbearable when watching it back. And then SLC Punk 2 is...
I never seen the second.
Yeah.
They did that?
Oh, yeah. During the lockdown, me and Yvette watched the 2-piece. It was horrible.
Last week, I was watching the new Spideyverse across the Spideyverse. I was like, this is low-key a punk movie for real. My boy Spider-Punk was like, I enjoy antagonizing fascists.
Freaky ass nigga.
I was looking for the crickets.
What's this cricket for? That movie was amazing.
For
That's
Spider-Man.
your ass. No, you can keep the crickets on that shit. That shit was fucking fire for real, yo. Yeah, you by yourself on that shit.
You're by yourself on that shit.
I'll
No one
promise
else
You know
is.
what would kind of count is Green Room.
Green Room definitely counts. Green Room
You know
definitely counts.
what I didn't like about that movie though? Like it drove me nuts. Is like no band who hates Nazis or just general people would go to a Nazi compound, get there and be like, we should definitely play this show. They would be like, no, bro, we need to go to like the gas station and get snacks or do
Absolutely.
I feel like it's the other way around. Like Nazis would go to like
the other.
No, there's
and then get there, get smoked.
No, there's like compound shows and shit. Like that shit happens. Like that's just like that movie is supposed to take place like in Oregon, so that's like kind of accurate. But
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Like,
No, that shit definitely scared the fuck out of me because I was like, I could see
That's
this shit
the worst
happening.
situation.
I could see this shit happening because look, I didn't been to mad shows for real.
We all have.
I didn't been to mad like I'd be somewhere and like Mushroom Head was playing and I'd be like, I look around like one of these motherfuckers call me a nigga. We finna be fighting for real.
dude, Chicago's crazy for that shit. I've heard stories.
Low key.
When I
For
saw
like the
Sheer-
metal.
when me, Yvette, and Marcus went to see Sheer Terror, it was weird.
I literally hate
Like
that.
y'all are not real. Y'all are not real skinheads.
I could definitely see myself like traveling with a
beat your
band.
ass right now.
I can definitely see myself
This is
like
when they're trying to get across. You got it wrong.
Like traveling with a band and just being in some random ass town, like looking around like, hey, I don't know if these people like fuck it would be like that. You know what I'm saying? That shit was terrifying.
Well, like then the other part that bugged me about the movie was like, so they're at this Nazi compound, right? Everyone there is a Nazi, and they get on stage and they're like, we're gonna play Nazi.
Yeah,
punks,
they go
fuck
play the
off.
what?
And I'm like, you would get beat up.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
They
so
literally would have run up there.
Yeah, and I was like,
they would have took the shit out of y'all hands.
So I tell people, I'm like, yeah, it's a great movie after like the first like 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Like once they're in the green room, it's a good movie.
Yes,
Everything
absolutely.
before the green room is terrible. But
If they would have played any Dead Kennedys cover, I think it would have been a wrap.
you know what's funny? I saw a screening of that like before it like got released at Lincoln Center, and I just remembered because they were playing like black metal, I think, like in between bands, and I just remembered audibly going, "Oh, they're metal Nazis." And the person like next to me was like, "What?" And I was like, "Nothing."
Never.
I was like,
You had like an out loud
thought. Yeah.
"Yeah,
They weren't picking up what you were putting down.
Yeah, there's some birds and shit. All right, bad.
yeah." It's just because like, yeah, yo, actually, did you ever like deal with hammers in Dallas? Because like by the time I came around, they were
Nah,
gone.
not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so like, I don't know if y'all know this. So Dallas, not to go on the whole rabbit
I
hole.
was just about to ask you. You know, you got to tell people what that is.
Oh, yeah.
Hammers.
So Dallas, Texas is the capital city of the Confederate Hammerskins, which is the largest neo-Nazi skinhead organization in the
Y'all
country.
came.
So in Deep Ellum, which is like where all the clubs are and like all the venues were in Dallas, they basically ran that area from the 90s all the way up to the early 2000s. Yeah. And what ended up happening was there was a show. Do you know the band Old 97s?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you know them. You should know them. But
You better.
honestly, anyone not from Dallas, you would probably think was sus if they knew the Old 97s.
True. Yeah,
but so this band was playing at the Gypsy Tea Room. We're back at the Gypsy Tea Room.
Here we go.
And basically these hammers walked in, and they like, this is when you could still smoke indoors. So one of them flicked a cigarette at a black dude, and like this dad who was there with like his daughter, like because she was home from college, was like, that wasn't very nice. And like the guy was like, do I fucking know you? Like one of them, he was like, no, but maybe you don't want to know me. And one of them was like, we can go outside. And they were like, okay. And so all three of them go outside. They're talking shit. One of the hammers sucker punches the dude. His head bounces off the sidewalk. And he gets paralyzed from the waist down.
Damn.
Holy shit.
And the hammer got rolled for it.
Good.
FBI got involved. Like there was a huge spotlight on Dallas where they're like, does Dallas have a Nazi problem? When like Dallas very obviously had a Nazi problem.
Yeah.
And so
It does.
and so what ended up
Question mark.
So what ended up happening was like a lot of these dudes just went underground and like disappeared. And that's basically how Dallas hardcore is able to like kick off.
Yeah.
Because before that, like Dallas hardcore kids had to like hide at churches.
Yeah.
Those were like safe areas.
Yeah.
That's why the Christian hardcore scene in Dallas was so big.
Yeah.
Was because the Nazis ran like the legitimate venues.
Oh my god.
So like real, like hardcore bands that weren't necessarily like Christian would just play these shows and just not mention, like, you know what I mean, like not mention God at all.
What was
you
it?
know?
Living Waters.
Living Sacrifice.
No, the venue was Living Waters.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Club 412.
Yeah. But basically once the Hammers kind of had to like disperse, that's like when Dallas was able to like really. I don't think if that actually happened. Like I don't think that Dallas would really have been able to do what it did.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah.
But I remember, and then that dad actually ended up walking again, which is cool. So,
Good.
But,
Good.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. God,
So there is somewhat of a happy ending to that story.
Well,
That's
James,
so
what's
crazy.
next? What's next for JA?
I don't know. I'm taking a break right now from shirt stuff just to kind of recharge and come up with ideas again. I was going really hard for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Looking at maybe starting a podcast of my own. So I hope that I wasn't terrible on this.
No,
one.
you were great, yo.
you're
Hit
fucking-
us up if you need any help, any like
Anything.
advice or anything like that. Feel free to hit us up, dude.
I appreciate
got
that.
you.
Yeah. And then maybe I don't know. I like to. Well, now that the strikes are over, maybe try to just take up writing again. I wrote a TV show like 10 years ago
Sick.
that never really went anywhere. Nate's in it.
Sick.
Nate lives. You go to prison, but you don't die.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh my
I died,
god!
so it's cool. It's
I
not bad.
automatically want to watch this.
I can't fucking wait.
Yeah, no, but I wrote it like 10 years ago, so
Yeah.
maybe that'll happen one day.
Very cool, dude.
Hell yeah.
James, thank you so much.
Thank
dude.
you so much.
An
yo. You did
immaculate
great.
guest, but like for sure.
Thank you for having me.
For
This is
sure.
great.
Hell yeah. Great meeting you. I hope that we get to kick it again at some point for real, yo.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Just next time I'm in Chicago or you guys are back in New
Yeah,
York.
fuck
Yeah.
with me. Fuck
More than welcome, baby.
You guys are hearing it. Episode 225.
Yeah, man.
Justified Air.